it must be midnight, because it is definitely time for a homicide. Welcome back, everybody, to Joe the Shirts. Off the cuff. It has been such a very, very long time since I've done this kind of particular show. Of course, for those of you who have been listening to me for a long time, you know I call it the Midnight Time for a Homicide show, or this time for a Homicide must be a midnight show, because I usually do the show right around midnight at some point in the United States or close to it. Usually I like to do this show either at 9 o'clock Eastern time, California time, or midnight, or in East Coast time. Y'all know what I'm saying. But also in honor of my all-time favorite rapper, the great Ice motherfucking T. Actually, I think he just calls himself Ice T these days, but Ice motherfucking T is appropriate. Or if you got the stones to walk up to Ice T, you can just call him Terry, which is his real name, actually. And Terry will be the subject of one of our newer segments on the show today, The Wisdom of Rappers, which is something I've really come to enjoy. Even though it's only my second time doing it today, I have a piece here by Mr. Ice-T, which I think will help to enlighten us on the true wisdom that the average hip-hop rapper has really bestowed upon not just American culture, but on world culture. In any case, one of the things I left off with last time, I was talking about how more men on college campuses are fighting back sexual assault accusations. I'll give the story of a couple of guys here. Let me tell you a little bit about Peter Yu, Drew Sterrett, and Lewis McLeod, who were all headed to very bright futures at prestigious colleges and universities when each of them got involved in one-night sexual encounters wherein they were accused of sexual assault. Now, all three young men claimed that the encounters were consensual, but the women asserted otherwise. In each case, campus officials found the men responsible for sexual assault and expelled or suspended them. But now, in a very big twist of fate, all three are pushing back, suing the schools on charges that their rights to fair hearings were violated. Something I truly believe. Now, according to this, universities and colleges are launching more intensified efforts against sexual misconduct. And now, please bear in mind, to all the ladies listening out there, I know men are shits, and I know men sexually assault women, and I know that women get sexually assaulted by men all the time. But that being the case, it has to be recognized that every once in a while, the bitch be lying, okay? It's gonna happen every once in a while that a woman will in fact lie about, being sexually assaulted by a man, about being raped, about being molested. It's a rarity. I'll be the first one to admit to you that it is more rare than not that a woman would falsely claim that a man, sexually assaulted her. And then I also think that in a lot of cases, especially with the advent of social media and the immediacy of news around the world, even just on a local level, women become embarrassed and feel as if their only recourse is, in fact, to claim that they were sexually assaulted, rather than just admit, okay, you know what, I had a couple too many, fuzzy navels, and I fucked some guy, and then somebody shot a video of me blowing him and put it on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and then all my friends saw it, and then my mom saw it, and she was like going, what the fuck was that? And then I had to tell her, oh, I was roofied. I didn't want to blow John. He forced me. Yeah. It only looks like I don't have a gag reflex, Mom. But, and these suits are being brought up more and more often because men are finally finding the balls to fight back, because it really used to be for the longest time in this country that, you get accused of something, you get accused by a woman of being a sexual predator, well, that was pretty much it for you. Even if you were proved innocent, your reputation was ruined. Nobody wanted you at their school. Nobody wanted you in their office, at their job. Nobody wanted you anywhere around just because of the stigma that anybody even bothered to accuse you of such a thing. Now, I told you the story of a football player last year who went to prison, spent a good, I think it was like 6 years in prison, and then afterwards had to wear the whole ankle bracelet, had to register as a sexual offender, and for having consensual sex with an underage girl, even though he was underage as well. Actually, no, he may have been he may have been 18, but she was about 16, and he was just 18. So let's not split hairs there. But he claims the sex was consensual. She claimed that it was rape. And then years later, she admits to him on Facebook, of all things, and to him and his lawyer in person that she just made the whole story up. And they ended up suing the school for like $500,000 to $1.2 million. And she and all of this because she didn't want her family to find out that she was sexually active. Okay. Back to the story at hand, though, here. These three young men are suing Vassar College, the University of Michigan, and Duke University, respectively. Students who were suspended or expelled for sexual assaults have also filed actions against Occidental College, Columbia University, Xavier University, Swarthmore College, Delaware State University, and a host of other campuses. These are not just your podunk little schools, okay? This ain't, SUNY Potsdam, all right? These are big-ass schools that the guys are pushing back for being, what they consider to be falsely accused. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, there's a really good chance that some of these guys really did do it. I'll be the first one to admit that. But you have to admit on some level that maybe just some of them are telling you the truth. Most are arguing that the college hearing process is unfair. In a new twist, young men are also asserting that the college discipline process is skewed against them because of their gender, violating the 1972 Title IX law, which bans sex discrimination by schools receiving federal funds. That's a nice twist, going after the schools on a federal level. Now, some critics argue that students should have the right to an attorney and to directly question their accusers, which protections that are not granted on all campuses. They also expressed concerns about the federal government's 2010-2011 directive to apply a lower burden of proof, quote, a preponderance of evidence in these, end quote, in these sexual misconduct hearings instead of the higher standard of the clear and convincing evidence that some campuses have been using. So basically what they're saying is that they're challenging this idea that, just because it looks like they may have done it, that's not as good as actually proving that they did it. In many of these cases, there's no real proof that these guys did anything wrong. As I said on the last show, alcohol responsibility tends to be a one-way street, depending on what side of the street you're on. Perfect example of this is, when you're drinking and you drive. I've made this argument many times, okay? The idea being that if you drink and drive, you are responsible for your actions in that you may hit somebody, you may hit another car, you may cause a death or serious injury or property damage. And you should have been responsible enough not to get into your car. But that ignores the fact that alcohol is a drug that impairs your ability to be reasonable, rational, logical, which is the reason we take alcohol, so that we're not that way. Yes, it'd be better if we thought ahead of ourselves. Like if we know we're going to go out and we know we're going to get fucked up, let's leave the car keys at home, bring extra money for the cab, or have a designated driver. But let's be real, most of us don't do that. That's a lie. And but then But then we take the drugs and we become irresponsible, and somehow we're held to a standard of when we're all fucked up that was brought upon us when we were not fucked up. A lot of us don't go out at night with our friends or go on a date and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to get completely fucked up tonight. No, most of us don't do that. Most of us just go out, hey, let's go out and have a couple of drinks, watch the game on the TV in some bar, and talk some shit, talk about how we are pissed off at our wives or our husbands or our shitty jobs, and then after a while, maybe you have too many, and, yes, we would all like to believe that, the person would be responsible enough to not go beyond that, but that's not what happens. Then my second example is that in these cases, so many of them are about guys and girls going out to parties, going out to keggers, going out to frat parties, toga parties, if they still have those, going out to the local, towny bar, and just hanging out, drinking way too much, having pizza and beer and wings and shots, and it'll be a bunch of girls all going out, a bunch of guys all going out, and what happens in college? You hook up. You end up with some person that you've never met before, or maybe you've seen them in class, or maybe you've known them through a friend of a friend, but you never really talked, and all of a sudden you're both really fucked up, and you end up at one or another's apartment, or maybe in your buddy's apartment, or in your buddy's car, and you end up doing a bunch of things to each other that you wouldn't do with a fucking farm animal, all right? But here's where I get confused with the law, because they say that a male college student, should be able to understand that the woman, if she's really drunk, is too drunk to give consent. But if the man is also drunk, doesn't that also mean that the woman should recognize that he's too drunk to give consent? They both have sex, but he's raping her and she's getting raped by him. I don't understand why it can't go the other way around. Why can't anybody ever say she was raping him? Maybe he didn't want to have sex, but his judgment was so impaired that, his dick got hard. Believe me, dicks get hard for nothing when you're like 21 years old, okay? Dicks get hard for nothing when the wind blows, So there have been plenty of guys that have had sex with chicks that next day they're thinking to themselves, I am never going to tell anybody that I fucked that fucking bitch. Ever. Of course, your friends already know you did it. But in their hearts, they're thinking to themselves, God, I don't want people to find out I fucked that ugly, fat-ass skag, But everybody's going to find out anyway. And then the guys are just going to, fuck with them. But the unfortunate part is that women are more sensitive to these type of things. And then, they find out, hey, Becky, you were fucking Chad in the back of his car the other day. And then his buddy Biff got in on it. They had a little sword fight in your mouth, if you know what I'm talking about here. And then, she's mortified because now everybody thinks she's a fucking slut. Whereas the other guy, he's just being thought of as well. He likes to fuck fat chicks. And you know what? There's a guy on the planet that has enjoyed fucking a fat chick one time or another. Or an ugly chick. Or a short chick. Or a really, really flat-chested, no-ass chick. Or whatever. And women have done it too. You've all fucked up some pimply-faced fat dude or another with bad breath and bad hair and, looks like he dresses at Nerds R Us. You've all done it. Don't start accusing each other of rape. Oh, my God. I needed to get that off my chest. Today's music so far has been brought to you by Gary Carpenter and Tribal Heat with their first song, Akumal Bay. Now, in contrast to this, I have another musical guest here. It's called I Am Aunt A, and their song, Tutto al Contrario. Let's see what that's like. Thank you for listening. I'll be right back. I'm Joe the Shirt, and I'm still off the cuff. made sure the shirt is once again off the cuff. Thank you for listening in. Thank you for coming back to me. Boy, this is what is my sixth show this month so far? I'm feeling good. I'm really feeling good. I'm working full-time these days at my gig. I've been looking for other work still. I've gotten a couple of bites here and there. I don't know whether or not I'll be necessarily staying with my current job. If they continue to be good to me, I will. And if they're not good to me, then I'll look for something else. But that's just the way it works. Okay, back to one of our old segment favorites, celebrity birthdays. Today being the year of our Lord, June 19th, here in, at least here on the West Coast still. It's still June 19th. And if you share a birthday on June 19th, you share this birthday with a few celebrities. Let's see. You share a birthday with rapper Macklemore, who is 31 years old. Singing, dancing, video sensation, and TV singer judge Paula Abdul is 52. Hot-ass actress Zoe Saldana is 36. Hot-ass actress from another era, Felicia Rashad, is 66. Basketball German phenom Dirk Nowitzki is 36 years old. Kathleen Turner is 60. She used to be American, and now she's oddly German-English. I don't know how that happened. Author Salman Rushdie is 67 years old, and I think there's still a price out on his head from the Ayatollah of Iran. And actress Robin Tunney is 42 years old. You may know her best recently from the TV show The Mentalist. She was also on some movie about witches. I think it was The Craft, I think it was. But the movie I remember her best from was with her and Arnold Schwarzenegger, where you get a good titty scene of her. And she's got a nice set of titties. So, definitely look for that if you want to see Robin Tunney titties. Go check that out. I'm trying to remember. If I remember the name of the movie, I'll let you know what it is. Or if you remember, please share it with the other listeners there. Okay. All right. As always, we talk a lot on the show about how horrible adults are to children. And every once in a while, a story I like to bring to you is how horrible children are to other children. And this is a disturbing little story. Let's see. On a Saturday morning, a bicyclist found a 12-year-old girl in the middle of a path in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Her clothes were caked with blood. She had been stabbed 19 times, but was still alive and had crawled out of the woods. The bicyclist asked, "Who did that to you?" The answer, according to the police accounts, would be as shocking as the reason she'd been attacked in the first place. Now, both Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weir, both 12 years old, have been charged as adults with attempting to murder their friend and fellow middle school classmate after inviting her for a sleepover Friday night. These were her friends? 12-year-old girls. The plot was months in the making. These girls were friends with this other girl for months while plotting this. Police said apparently inspired by a digital age urban legend named Slender Man, a not quite human figure with spindly fingers and an empty face who shows up in the background of photos from haunted places. Now, Slender Man is fictional, but Morgan and Anissa had apparently decided he was real enough that they wanted to please him, investigators said. After luring their friend into the woods, police said one of the girls held down the victim while the other girl stabbed her in the arms, legs, and torso. After assailants left, the victim was discovered. She was hospitalized and in stable condition. Now, according to the website, a creepypasta is a short story posted on the internet that is designed to unnerve and shock the reader. Creepypasta Wiki is a user-edited database of those stories similar to Wikipedia. So, basically what happened was these two girls got onto a creepy website, found this story about some guy named Slender Man, and decided in order to let him know they were acolytes of Slender Man, were willing to kill their friend. Now, that's fucked up. Now, right off the jump, I know a lot of people are very eager to blame the internet, to blame the website, but let's be honest here. These type of stories have been around for a long, long time, not just on the internet or movies or TV, but just, in schools, in towns, legends, folklore, myths. There are always these stories of these incredibly creepy occurrences that happen, and kids love this kind of stuff, and they get into it, and they try to scare each other with it, and every once in a while, some stupid kid goes out and actually tries to fucking do it. And in that case, the kid wasn't raised right. That's what I'm saying right there. Kid fucking wasn't raised right. Now, you go to the website, and let's see. They'll be the first to tell you. All works presented on this wiki and other sites, including Slenderman, are fictional stories and characters. This is from a site administrator identified as Sloshed Train, wrote on Tuesday. This wiki does not endorse or advocate for the killing, worship, and otherwise replication of rituals or of fictional works. There is a line between fiction and reality, and it is up to you to realize where the line is. We are a literature site, not a crazy satanic cult. And I'm with them on this one. Because you go around trying to blame these websites, then you know what? Get rid of all your books. Seriously, just get rid of them. You know what? Don't read classics like Frankenstein or Dracula. Don't read. Don't go see Phantom of the Opera. Don't go see the movie Psycho, the original, not the remake with Vince Vaughn. I love Vince Vaughn, but that was a piece of shit. Don't go enjoy these type of movies. Don't go enjoy The Portrait of Dorian Gray. Don't enjoy anything from the Victorian era whatsoever. Okay? Don't go watch Candyman. What they're basically telling you is that don't enjoy the stories that we all grew up with in some form or another. That we were scared by. By our older siblings or parents or uncles or aunts, and that we go off and scare other children with because they're fun, they're goofy, and at some point or another, if the child was raised right, they will either realize on their own, well, they were just fucking with me. Or, a responsible adult should be telling them, hey, by the way, we're just fucking with you. It's what they do, on camping trips, like fucking Boy Scouts or summer camps, it's like where they tell these creepy stories of a killer with a hook, that still haunts the forest looking for, Boy Scouts to skewer, that kind of shit, these urban legends, I feel bad for all three of these little girls. I truly do. Of course, the one that got stabbed 19 times, that sucks ass. But also, I feel bad for the other two little girls who just obviously were not raised right. Blame the parents, blame the schools, blame somebody, man. But, I don't believe that people are born evil, just like I don't believe people are born good. I don't believe either one. I think that we are ultimately defined by what we see and learn in our lives. In any case, moving on to our next story, which I think will actually fall into this kind of nicely in a very weird sort of way. President Barack Obama is going to be signing, if he hasn't signed already, an order on gay rights. It's a discrimination. It's revolves around discrimination based on sexual orientation will be barred from firms that do business with the government. President Barack Obama plans to sign an executive order forbidding companies that do business with the federal government from discriminating against employees on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity, fulfilling a goal that gay rights organizations have sought for years. Currently, and this is something that I'm willing to bet a lot of you don't know, but currently, no federal law bans discrimination against gay and transgender individuals. 21 states, including California and Illinois and the District of Columbia, bar discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation. But in the remaining 29 states, that's also known as most of them, employers are free to fire, demote, or otherwise discriminate against workers solely on the basis of sexual orientation. So basically, a guy named Bob goes into work one day, and boss comes up to Bob and says, "Bob, gonna have to let you go." Well, why? "Well, Bob, heard you're queer." Yeah, heard. It was a big shock to me, Bob. I mean, you've been to my house, you've babysitted my kids, we've barbecued, we've gone fishing together, and because you suck cock, you gotta go. Or maybe Beth comes into work one day and her boss comes up to her and goes, "Beth, can I talk to you for a second?" I don't know, I have to do it in a southern accent, but I do. But "Beth, can I talk to you for a second?" "Now, sweetie, we love you here. We think you're the best. You are the best accounts receivable we have ever had in our entire history of our company. You make us so much money. But we heard that you're a clam lapper. So, yeah, you got to clear out your desk, and security's going to escort you out by 3. Yeah, by 3. Yeah, we're going to need the keys back to the washroom. Yeah, we're going to need those too. But think about that. I mean, in 29 states in this country of ours, right now, you can just fire anybody because you heard that they're gay, lesbian, or identify as a transgender. So the federal government is going to be looking to pass a law that will bar the federal government from doing business with any companies that discriminate against their employees for sexual preference or gender identity. Well, that now you might think to yourself, well, how big a deal is that? Well, that big a deal is about 20% of all businesses in the United States do business with the federal government. 1/5 of all businesses do direct business with the federal government. I'm not talking about, they order stamps. I'm talking they do business. So, the hope is that this law gets passed, and when something happens within one of these companies where somebody gets fired and they believe that they were fired because they were gay, lesbian, transgender, identify as a man when they're actually a woman, or they're a woman when they're actually a man, well, that, they have a recourse to them. Of course, many on the Republican side of this are saying that this is silly and will only spur frivolous lawsuits. Because, it's so frivolous when you get fired because you love somebody that happens to be of the same sex. Or it's so frivolous that, you happen to like to wear, men's clothing when you were born with tits and a pussy. It's frivolous, Of course it is. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, I always have been, I still believe that if you were born a man, you are a man. If you were born a woman, you are a woman. Genetics cannot be altered by any surgery you do on the planet. But if you were born a woman, but you want to call yourself Biff, good for you. You were born a man, you want to call yourself Bethany, fine for you. You want to identify as a man or woman, good for you. And you know what? When I address you, I will refer to you as Beth, even if you were born Biff, and I will address you as Biff, even if you were born Bethany. And I will refer to you as a he or a him or that guy or a man, even though I know you were born otherwise. That's fine. I still know better, but I also respect your right to be called whatever the fuck it is you want to be called. Ah, my God. And it's time for a break, believe it or not. Next song comes back again from Gary Carpenter and Tribal Heat with their song, Chaimala Gypsy. I'm Joe the Shirt, I'm off the cuff, and I'll be right back. once again, Show the Shirt is off the cuff. Welcome back, everybody. All right, God, I'm so glad to be doing this show. The midnight time for a Homicide show. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I'm feeling really good these days. Like I said, I'm working full time again. My body's adjusting to it, which is really nice. Like I said, on Monday was my first day working full time. I went to bed. It was before 8 o'clock. The sun was still out. Okay, that's how fucking tired I was. All right. But now I'm adjusting to it. It's it's 10:30 over here on the West Coast. For the last year or so, I've been asleep by 9:30. Just because I don't feel like doing anything. I've been depressed, and now I'm feeling better. Okay, coming up with our next segment of tonight's show, it's the wisdom of rappers. And tonight's wisdom of rappers comes from, of course, my favorite rapper, Ice-T, from his song, New Jack City, from the movie New Jack City, starring Ice-T, Mario Van Peebles, and, for whatever reason, Judd Nelson. Anyway, here's a quote from New Jack City, the song from the movie New Jack City, which for some reason also had Judd Nelson. What's up? You say you want to be down? Ease back, or motherfucker get beat down. Out my face, fool. I'm the illest. Bulletproof, I die harder than Bruce Willis. Got my crew in effect that I bought them new Jags. So much cash, gotta keep it in hefty bags. All I think about is keys and G's. Imagine that, me working at Mickey D's. That's a joke, 'cause I'm never gonna be broke. When I die, there'll be bullets and gun smoke. You don't like my lifestyle? Fuck you. Bravo. Bravo. Oh, my God. Just rife with meaning. Let's explore this really quickly here. It sounds like I'm making fun of this, but I'm really not. I think these are some great lines here. I mean, he's talking about the need to be successful in a world that seems designed to not let you be successful, where everything has been set against you, a lack of education, a lack of access to education, a lack of access to money, to jobs, to a safe place to develop yourself. Where the only thing you seem to have access to is drugs and alcohol and violence and gun stores and check cashing joints. No banks, check cashing joints. No supermarkets, liquor stores. You know what I'm saying? Like the nicest store in your town, in your area, is 7-Eleven. And then he does make the pop culture reference with Bruce Willis, who from his movies, the Die Hard movies, he's hard to kill. And that's what he's saying, that he has grown up so hard in this world, this environment, that he is basically bulletproof. And he wants to make his money, but he's also generous with it. He buys his crew Jags, okay? And also mocks the idea of working at someplace like Mickey D's. Now, Mickey D's, McDonald's now, employs a lot of people in this country. Most of them these days, though, tend to be teenagers with their first jobs, or people in their 40s and 50s who had lost much better jobs and had to downgrade themselves in order to make any kind of living. And to a lot of these guys that grew up with this mentality of, you have to make money, you have to be successful, you have to be in power, the idea of working at McDonald's does not fit that paradigm there. And then finally, he lets you know that, it's not necessarily the way he wants to live. But if you don't like it, fuck you. What are you going to do to make it better for me? What are you offering that could possibly make life in my neighborhood better for me? Fuck you. Thank you, Ice-T, New Jack City. Thank you very much. Now this this is something I like to talk about a lot. I like to talk about apologies. Apologies are a big thing in the modern world. Seems like everybody's always apologizing for something. I talked a little bit not too long ago about Jonah Hill apologizing for angrily referring to a paparazzi who had been annoying him all day as a I think to paraphrase, he called him a fucking faggot and told him to sock his fucking cock or his dick. I don't know if it was cock or dick, but he did call him a fucking faggot. And he apologized for using the hateful term faggot, like immediately, basically, And of course, everybody's just claiming, well, he's just doing it because of the media and social networks, and he's just doing it, to save his career. And I'm like, well, yeah, fucking duh, Or we talk about maybe about Justin Bieber, who was, who was apologizing after a video came out where he was making racist remarks, or where Jack White was downplaying his disparaging comments about the Black Keys, claiming that they'd ripped them off, And you know what? You want to go back a little, and here's the real difference here is that these guys make these apologies immediately. I'm sorry, but I have friends of mine who happen to be lesbians, and I love them dearly. But if I walked up to them in a crowd full of people and said, "You're a fucking dyke," and then the next day just went on Twitter and Facebook and apologized, would they really accept my apology? Would they think that I was being sincere? Do you? And there have been other less recent famous apologies. You might remember when Hugh Grant was caught, banging some hooker. I don't know why we were so concerned that Hugh Grant was banging a hooker. Everybody was like, well, you're fucking Elizabeth Hurley. I was like, well, yeah, sure, big fucking deal. Or is Elizabeth Hurley? Is that the chick's name? I fucking forget now. And everybody was all pissed off because, it's like, why would you go out for hamburger when you got steak at home? And I'm like, well, because maybe I've had steak at home the last 800 fucking times and I haven't had a fucking hamburger in 6 years. That's why. I haven't fucked that hamburger in the ass once. I've been looking at this tired-ass steak for the last 3 years. That's why. But 2 weeks after it happened, he went on, the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and he said, I've been a very, very bad boy. I'm so sorry. And everybody was like, oh my God, we love you again. You're oddly cute and British, even though you can't act with shit. And then even before that, I don't know if you remember back in the 1960s, back in 1966, John Lennon, he said, that the Beatles were bigger than Jesus. The fucking world lost their fucking mind. I'm like, look, we're talking about a rock star that said something, off the cuff, shall we say. It's like, did he really mean it? There's a good chance he did. But does it really matter? Not fucking really. I think the really biggest crime here isn't that they say these things, because I don't really care. I don't think the biggest... I think a bigger crime is that they make these apologies that nobody believes, but everybody demands. I find that ridiculous. To demand something that you don't believe. It's like asking for something you don't want. It's like, hey, you know what I'd really like? I'd like you to hit me across the face with a hammer. I demand that you do it. And then when you do it, I get pissed off at you for doing it. That's basically what's happening with these fucking apologies. They're meaningless. Stop apologizing for this shit. And I think the most insulting and hurtful thing to me is that when people demand these apologies, that when people demand that these celebrities make these, make these apologies, it's as if we're giving them that much more power. We give them that much more influence on our lives, that somehow our lives are affected by something they did, okay? I don't give a fuck what Jonah Hill, Justin Bieber, John Lennon, Hugh Grant, or anybody else fucking do that are public figures that affects me in any way. Which brings me to the mayor of Los Angeles. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti is a big LA Kings fan, apparently. And he was at the game, and he was celebrating with everybody else, you know. And apparently he did a no-no. But he prefaced the no-no, okay? Now, while on camera, on television, he was wearing a Kings jersey and drinking a bottle of Bud Light, and he set up a joke for the audience, you know, at the Kings celebration. And this is what he said now, quote, they say never, when it comes to politics, they say never ever be pictured with a drink in your hand and never ever swear. But this is a big fucking deal. And then lifts up the bottle of Bud Light. The audience goes wild. They go fucking crazy. They applaud. The team members are going, woo, you know, and people lost their fucking minds. A bunch of people are really upset about it. Some people are claiming that it was a calculated political move. Other people are claiming that, you know, if you want to live the life of a rock star, go be a rock star. Don't be a leader in politics and a leader of men and a leader of government. It sets a bad example for the children. For the children? Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, let me explain 3 things to you about children. Children don't watch the news. This was on the news, okay? Maybe children were watching the Kings game. But odds are that if their parents are letting them watch the Kings games, they've heard the word fuck a few times or another. Second thing, kids don't give a flying fuck about politicians. They really, really don't. And if they do, you're a horrible parent for subjecting your children to politics. And thirdly, up until just 3 days ago, I had no fucking idea who Eric Garcetti was. But now I know who he is. He's the one that thinks that the Kings winning the Stanley Cup is a big fucking deal and likes to drink his Bud Light. I'm going to go vote for him next election, guarantee you. You know, let's stop using the children as some political, you know, monkey wrench. You know, this political stronghold we have on people. We're not trying to protect children. We're working on our own agenda, using the children as an excuse. All right, big fucking deal. In any case, that's my time for tonight. Thank you for listening in to Joe the Shirt's Off the Cuff, the midnight time for a homicide show. Our last piece of music is, again, by I Am Ant A, and his song, my favorite TV monster, it's called Godzilla. I'm Joe the Shirt. I've been Off the Cuff. Thank you for listening.